Do you get one? Do you have one?
So just reviewing for lightweight panelized roofs that we were on up there. We showed you an off-beam technique. We showed you off purlin yesterday. Later today, you guys will do off purlin with 2 saws with Steve. Okay. You may have a preference of how you cut your heat or your offensive louver, whether it's off beam or off purlin. My preference, to tell you the truth, is my heat hole, I'm going to do an off purlin operation with 2 saws. Opposing purlins, and I like to louver it versus drop or pull back. You guys will learn that again later today. Okay, that's my preference for an offensive hole. You can have a preference for an offensive hole. Your defensive strip, though, you cannot have a preference. The building and the fire dictate how you're going to cut that, okay? If you think about it, if I have a building that's a rectangle, my beams go which direction? Typically, shortest distance. So if I have a fire on this side and I'm trying to keep it from going on this side, what is my strip? Off beam. Off beam is going to probably be your most common strip that you're going to do, okay? I'm going to come over here, cut an offensive hole, whatever technique you want, come back, give me space for time, do a off beam strip. If for some reason the beams go the other direction, you can do a off purlin strip, and that's what Steve will show you over there as well, okay? With Steve, you're going to do 2 types of operations. You're going to have your saws opposing each other on purlins, or you're going to have your saws on the same purlin in tandem. Opposing purlins are good for offensive holes. Tandem purlin is good for your strip. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you now. If it doesn't, it'll make sense with Steve. Good? With that said, remember I said off beam is often referred to as with construction. Kind of translates into what we're going to do here. We're going to do a with construction strip on a conventional roof with 1x6. Whenever we're using a conventional or operating on a conventional roof with 1x6, really our go-to is going to be against construction, correct? You guys did it yesterday with Dome and Anderson. We're going to come in. Do we need a head cut on 1x6? No, right? We use the seam. But what do we not have on our prop? Comp. So you got to at least score the comp, right? If I'm going to take the time to put my saw in here and score the comp, guess what? I'm going in deeper and I'm just making a head cut. Reason is, that allows me to feel where these rafters are, okay? Now I come in, and again, we're reviewing against construction. Now I come in and I'm just going to do dice cuts. Dice cuts are in the middle of your rafters. I'm not a big fan of dice cuts at all. If I come in and I do a 16-foot head cut and I'm rolling multiple rafters and I come back to dice, do I necessarily know where those rafters are? No, it's tough, okay? Unless I roll a rafter, curve it, roll a rafter, curve it, and mark those rafters. It's tough for me to know where those rafters are. I'm a big fan of, I'm just gonna still treat this as a center rafter loop. I do my head cut, I do parallel base parallel, parallel base parallel. I can still pull the 1x6 off that center rafter, or if the comp is really stuck to the 1x6, I might even be able to louver the 1x6, okay? Because that comp keeps everything nice and tight together and you can louver. Good with that? So again, that's against construction. You can do that for a heat hole. You can do that same technique for a strip cut. We're going to talk about with construction. When we're dealing with construction on 1x6, you're not going to use it for a heat hole. It just doesn't make sense, okay? The only time we would use it is for a strip cut. And again, the building and the fire are going to dictate whether we're doing against or with construction on our 1x6. Still with me? So, what we're going to do is we're going to come up. I have a hook operating in this area, roughly on this rafter. I have a saw in this area, on this rafter. I'm going to skip a rafter, saw, and hook. Same order that we had up there, hook, saw, hook. One of the sawyers is going to come in here, does not need a head cut, got to score the comp, but my preference is I'm still going to do the head cut. I find this outside rafter, I roll one, I stop at this one, okay? Once we've done that head cut, one saw is going to come in, and we're not doing a dice cut. It's more of a parallel cut. Dice cuts, again, are in the middle. Parallel cut would be right on that rafter, maybe an inch or two in. So, head cut, come in, just go straight down that rafter. This guy, he goes straight down that rafter. As soon as there's enough room, these guys are going to take off, wall to wall, hooks come in, and they're going to just pull the 1x6 together out of the way. Okay?
Quick question, Mark. So you got the first guy coming on over here, does his last parallel cut over here, or he finds that rafter, he stops.
I come up. Yeah, it doesn't matter which direction.
Okay, so he can stay right there while the second guy can come up and take off straight down the rafter.
Yeah, I'm doing this head cut because I want to ID that rafter for my partner.
Okay.
I'm gonna bump that rafter. He knows exactly where it's at.
So you can stay there, he can go.
Yeah, one of us is gonna come up, do our head cut,
Right.
and then I'm gonna bump over here. My partner's already there, and we both take off. We're mirroring each other.
Gotcha.
We take off as soon as there's enough room. The hooks come in, pop that 1x6. Okay. Remember up there I said on strip cuts, ideally we want to cut the whole thing, correct? And then louver it. Well, 1x6, if we're pulling it back, we don't have that luxury, okay? So our guys are gonna have to come in here and start opening up that hole as we're cutting it, okay? Otherwise, it's just gonna take too much time. Good with that? Now, again, our prop doesn't have comp on it. These hooks come in and they're pulling all this 1x6 up. What's this comp doing?
Maybe sticking to it,
Maybe sticking to it or not. If it doesn't, we can kind of pull it out of the way, but it's bunching up, isn't it? Making our job more difficult. So every 8 to 10 feet, one of these sawyers is gonna stop. He's gonna score that comp, and then he's gonna move on again, okay? That way we can peel that comp off. Again, my preference is if I'm gonna score, I'm gonna cut, okay? So instead of scoring, I'm gonna go ahead and cut all the way through the 1x6 and then continue on. What that allows me to do again, instead of pulling up this 1x6, if the comp is stuck to the 1x6, what can I do to this panel?
Louver.
Treat it as a louver, making my hook, the job of my hooks, a hell of a lot easier. Got it? Questions there? So our prop, we're kind of limited. So I'm going to have 4 of you up here, hook, saw, hook. One saw's going to come up, do his head cut. He's going to back down on the rafter. He's going to do the parallel cut. The other saw is going to do the parallel cut. Once they get out of the way to roughly this line, hooks come in, start pulling that 1x6 back, okay? When you're pulling the 1x6 back, really be cognizant of the guys with the chainsaws behind you. Because you're backing up, you don't want to back up on that chainsaw, obviously. Good? This line that you're going to stop at is kind of our score line. One of those guys is going to score the comp or make that cut, but for today, that's your stop line. Cut to there, you stop, pull that 1x6. Next group of 4 come up. Treat it as a new cut. Head cut, parallel cuts down. Good?
You normally work with the head cut guy, also does the scoring.
What's that?
The head cut guy, does he do
Yeah,
the scoring?
he typically does.
So that you just keep a pattern.
Good? First 4, come on up.